I'm Lisa, and I'm the mom half of this duo.
And I'm Shada. I'm Lisa's daughter. And welcome to Two Peas in a Plot, our little corner of the internet where we talk all things books.
We read across genres and love everything from underrated gems to longtime favorites.
And just a quick heads up while we try to avoid spoilers, we do talk about what we liked or didn't, so there might be a few light spoilers along the way just to give you some context.
So if you love stories and want to grow your TBR, hit that subscribe button and join the plot. Today we have a good summer read called The Summer Guest by Tess Gerritsen. I think I pronounced that right. And it was published March of 2025. This was the second book in her Martini Club series. And the first book was called The Spy Coast, which I already read, and it was really good. I love the introduction of the Martini Club. It's basically, Shada, it's a book club for retired CIA agents, and they moved to Purity, Maine. I think it's a fictional town, but they go to this town because they want to be kind of recluses and just be away from all the trauma that they went through. But the first one, you'd have to read the first book, but it deals with her neighbor's granddaughter. But she lives basically on a farm and she has goats, I think, and chickens. But the group of them have moved over here in Maine and get together and talk about things. And they solve crimes, of course. So the second book is about the summer guests that come to Maine, Purity, Maine, and have these gorgeous, gorgeous, I wouldn't even say cottages, they're like mansions. And this couple, the son's name is Ethan, and his wife, and the granddaughter, not the granddaughter, the daughter, Zoe, come in to the cottage for the first time because they're saying goodbye to Ethan's father. Kind of like a memorial service, they're going to spread his ashes. And Susan, Ethan's wife, has never been there, neither has Zoe, and it just sounds beautiful, idyllic. But of course, it doesn't end that way because there's a kidnapping, there's an old murder, and possibly a second murder, but you find out what happens to that person. So it's all it starts out kind of slow, but that's good. And then it builds up to all these different secrets that come about in the family. And I may not be doing it justice, but if you've read the first one, you know what I'm talking about. I I I think you could read it as a standalone, but anytime there's like a series like the Martini Club, it has these ex spies. You get to know them more in the first book, I think, and what their specialties are. I think it's Isabel. Isabel's a spy or ex CIA agent, and she's really good with computers. And so they all have their histories. So I think it goes into more of that. That's the only thing I kind of missed in this book. I wanted it to focus more on the Martini Club, but also they know Jo Thubodeau. She's a acting police chief, and she doesn't quite trust the book club. And that goes into more detail in the first book, but the second book, they're basically trying to help Jo. And Jo kind of feels inferior a little bit. She wants to solve the crime. And actually, I think in this book, the Martini Club kind of makes an error and they end up working together, and it's just fun. It's not too stressful, not too suspenseful to me, but enough to wonder who, what happened to all these people, these secrets that come about. And and the girl, the teenager, she's not annoying at all. She's a lovely little teenager, and she has which I love swimming, and she's a swimmer, and they talk about, I don't know what it's called, but it's like trying to hold your breath, and she goes deep down in the water and finds a secret in the pond. It's called Maiden Pond. So that's a little tidbit. And other than that, I just think it's a wonderful read. It's great for summer. It has all the things you want. It has the book club. It has funny, mystery, secrets, family, and a summer beautiful setting. I love the setting. And that's my take on the Summer Guest by Tess Gerritsen. And I think she's supposed to come out with a third one soon. I want to say it's the end of this summer, but I could be wrong. I didn't quite look into that.
Well, you already answered my first question as you were speaking. I was gonna ask you, is the setting a big part of the atmosphere? Because I know we went to Maine once a very long time ago and it was beautiful and it was actually very moody and gothic and it will be, I think because of where we were, but it reminded me of I don't know, like an Emily Bronte novel or something. It was beautiful, but in a kind of rugged way. But I'm sure if you're further inland, it's just very pretty. So it seems like the setting is a big part of that atmosphere and just feeling cozy. Is that kind of the vibe that you got? You said you love the setting, so I figured.
Well, I remember that visit to Maine, and it was very picturesque to me. It's just very seaside-ish. So every time they say Maine, I think of that, and it was just beautiful. I fell in love with Maine that one day we were there. And so yes, the I love the setting. I love books set in Maine. This doesn't say it's on this what do you call it? The seaside. And it sounds like it's more in the mountainous area where there's, I guess, bodies of water, ponds, kind of like Massachusetts is. There's bodies of water in the middle of the state, which I guess I'm used to, but it just kind of, they're hidden oasis to me. Yeah, so yeah, I loved it. And again, I love the ex CIA spy thing. That's just so cool to me. And they're trying to help and save their town and keep it criminal free, I guess you'd call it.
I love that you said the teenager isn't annoying. I I know, like, for someone who studied, like, my focus in my master's program was writing for children and young adults. I have a very low tolerance threshold for annoying kids but well, really any annoying character.
Mhm.
But but I love that you kind of pointed that out in particular because I think that sometimes, yeah, when there's like a teenager involved, it's like, oh, are they going to be angsty? Are they going to have some sort of like side side plot that doesn't really connect with me, but that I think that's really cool.
Yeah, Zoe was a good kid, and that's what the mom kept focusing on. Like, she wouldn't have, at first, I thought she was one of the teenagers that went out and partied or something because she didn't come back that night. And certain things were weird, like there was clothes in the laundry, but the neighbor of Maggie is her name. She's the ex CIA spy who lives on a farm next to her neighbor who it's his granddaughter he takes care of. And I forget her name, but she met Zoe and that she's a really good kid. So they wanted to see each other again. And so I knew that it was a good thing that they were together. So I really didn't know what happened to Zoe. And you don't until the very end. And there were so many people I went back and forth who did it. And now on the top of my head, I'm not sure I remember. But, and that's a good thing because I went back and forth so many times that I couldn't decide until the end who did it.
Well, and that also sounds like you were really enjoying the characters versus the plot. I mean, not that you can't enjoy both, but the characters seem like they were like the heart of the novel. It wasn't about like a thriller, like a fast-paced kind of whodunit. I'm sure there's a lot of that in there, but it seems like you really connected with the characters. I did want to ask you, and you may have said this, but because there are so many characters and it seems like this fully lived in town, who exactly are we? It may be in third person, I guess, but who is it? Maggie, who's like the main, kind of the main character?
Well, she was in the first book, I feel, because a dead body gets, and that's not giving a spoiler. In the first book, there Maggie finds a dead body in her driveway. I think it's a
Wow,
gen,
that's
and
good.
so that's how you get introduced to the Martini Club and the neighbor. But in this book, it was Ethan, Susan, and Zoe who are the Conovers, and the Conovers have this huge palatial home in Purity, Maine, on Maiden Pond. And there are two other neighbors that live next to them who've been there a long time. And I guess it's the wealth versus the other side of the pond. There's a gentleman who is really, really, I don't know how you would explain it, but he's lived there all his life, and he's taken care of his mother who was ill, and then she passed away, and now he's taking care of his sister who's wheelchair bound. So he's never had a lot of money, and he's looked down upon by the Conovers. But you find out why later. But I don't want to say if he's good or bad because it might give some of the first part of the book away. Then you find out later, which he is. Yeah, I think I enjoy the investigative part, but this time it was more about the characters, I think. And yeah, I liked it. And of course, that setting, anywhere they went, I was like, oh, yeah, let's go there. I just thoroughly enjoyed it. I didn't know why it took me so long to read the second one, um, but can't wait to read the third one in the series and maybe even more of her books. I haven't really looked into that of her other books. There's so much to read. It's so hard to choose just one book. I want to read them all.
You mentioned, was Zoe the one who was diving? I think what you were describing is called free diving, where you go as deep as you can, like without any equipment. Um, that's really cool and really hard. And actually, uh, you had me do an exercise a few weeks ago, a breathing exercise
Yeah.
where you had me breathe out, like totally empty my lungs, and then try to hold my breath for as long as I could. Um, I have asthma. I did not do well at all. You and Dad did way better than me. I don't know how people free dive. I mean, they can hold their breath for minutes, like minutes and minutes on end, and people do this in the ocean. It's crazy. That's a cool little it seems like everyone in this novel has a really cool, quirky skill or set of skills. I think that's really fun. I remember I had a professor, a creative writing professor in undergraduate, and I don't know why I remember her saying this because it's been many moons since undergrad, but she said she loved it when characters had really unusual jobs in fiction. And she was a very like literary fiction oriented person. So like she wrote literary fiction. She did not write genre fiction, but I think I feel like maybe there was a genre writer in her trying to get out with the quirky, unusual characters. So this seems like it's populated with all those kinds of characters, which I also find really fun.
Yeah. It was just a really good read. At first I didn't like Ethan and Susan or even Zoe. It's not that I disliked them. It's just like I wanted to see the Martini Club people. But then as I read, I got more invested in the characters, which I kudos to the author of pulling me in when I was kind of resisting in a way, because, and that's what I'm trying to do is read a little bit, not out of my comfort zone, but before when I was working, all I wanted to do was read what entertained me, that took me away. So now I'm trying to branch out, although as listeners, you may not say I'm branching out much because everything tends to be a mystery. But here and there, I have books that I'm going to bring to the forefront that are different than what I normally read. But little baby steps is how I'm taking it. Is and I'm trying to do. Although I would have read the Martini Club before, I think I read it while I was still working, but I guess that's why I didn't pick up the second one. I wanted an easy read. And it's still an easy read, but it just pulls you in. It was just great. Again, kudos to the author. She got me going, and I can't hurry up with that third book. I want to read the third book as soon as I can. Good mystery all around, interesting characters. It's got family drama. It's got the spies. You can read any time of the year, but I love that it's set in the summer. So if you really like a summer book read, put this on your list. And I will only just need to find out when the third book comes out. Or you could wait until the third book comes out and read all three, right after one another. Sometimes
Binge
I like to
them.
do that. Yeah, binge read. Oh, and I was thinking this would be a great mini series. I would love for this to be like on Netflix or something, like a mini series. That would be
Oh yeah,
awesome.
like those limited time runs.
Yeah.
The one I'm thinking of in particular is not the same tonally as this, but I think I made you watch Chernobyl. That was a
It was
limited run.
so good.
So good,
So
so
good.
upsetting,
It
so
was so
sad.
upsetting, but it teaches you, excuse me, it teaches you history in I don't want to say timely manner, but not in one long documentary because wasn't it a couple of a mini series like
I think it was
episodes?
six. They were long episodes, but it was only
Hmm.
six. And it was just like the perfect amount.
Yeah.
And I think it was structured on like around a nonfiction book but like they drew a lot of source material from that. But yeah, so something, yeah, I could see like one of those
Yeah.
limited run
Hmm.
series where you have like each book is adapted into kind of a short season.
It's
That would be
awesome.
really cool.
That Chernobyl stuck with me for so long. It still sticks with
It
me
made
when
me
you bring it up.
cry.
Made me cry too, but it was you just have a different perspective, and especially being in the States that you don't know how it affected people, and just visualizing. I think they showed the city that was damaged that
I
you
can't,
still
it's,
can't live in, and they have
yeah.
animals running through it.
Oh yeah, every once in a while I'll see scientists are starting to study the wildlife because it's one of the places in the world that's was formerly, pretty heavily populated. And now there's just no one that like you
Hmm.
cannot go in there. And apparently the dogs are evolving in very specific ways. I don't think I think the headline language is pretty sensationalist. Like they aren't becoming mutant dogs, but they have a lot of unusual, very concentrated changes
Hmm.
that researchers are flagging. So yeah, I know that's totally far afield from this book, from like a fun-ish. It sounds like, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, but it sounds like this is has a lot of core elements of a cozy mystery, but it has a bit of weight to it. Like, so it's still cozy, but it has some darker themes, which I guess a lot of cozy mysteries do, because usually there's a murder, at least one murder.
Right.
But um, but it seems maybe slightly less
Cutesy.
cutesy. Yeah, that's a good word.
I mean, I love those for a very long time, but then I just wanted a little more. Nothing against them; they're lovely, but yeah, I tend to agree. this is like that. Or if it isn't, then it feels like a cozy to me because I love the setting, the people, the mystery, the a little bit of the I wouldn't call it suspense, but it can be to certain people, I guess. Well, that's all we have for you today. Again, I highly recommend The Summer Guest by Tess Gerritsen, Martini Club series. It's book 2, and we appreciate you hanging out with us. Thanks for being here and talking books with us.
And if you love stories and want to grow your TBR, hit that subscribe button and join the plot with us. See you in the next chapter. Bye.
Bye.